Hello, welcome back. This is module 3 from the course about analyzing and visualizing data in Excel. In this module, I will introduce you to queries in Excel that are done using a technology that was previous to 2016, which I'm using, was known as Power Query. If you're using Excel 2013 or even Excel 2010, you'll be able to follow it and see the functionality that I'm going to use here. You'll see it as functionality of the Power Query add-in in Excel. In 2016, what we did is include all this functionality in Excel, and now there is no add-in anymore. There's no Power Query add-in. So you'll see that the same functionality is now folded into the regular ribbons of Excel, and it's there side by side with older functionality to import data in Excel. Further down in next versions of Excel, we plan to make this technology that came from Power Query, is now not called Power Query anymore, the default technology to import data. But for now, it's there side by side, and I'm going to use it exclusively to bring data into Excel. My first example in bringing data from using a query would be really simple. I would be just importing a single flat CSV file and make it into my model. This table has everything I need, not necessarily ready in the shape and the format I need it, but I will format and shape it using the query. So let's start. We switch to Excel. In the data ribbon, data tab in the ribbon, you see there's an area here, what we call a chunk, that is title is Get and Transform. This is where you were looking for what was previously or is still in 2013 known as the Power Query functionality. And most of it is under this here, the new query. Here you start your queries. Power Query is a technology that is designed to bring the data into Excel. It can bring data into the Excel grid as tables, and you can then use them as you would for any other use that you want in Excel. Or it can bring data directly into the Excel data model that was introduced in the previous parts of this course. And it can actually bring data to both, which I will not recommend you to do, but if you want to, it's possible. Now, first thing I need to do is to pick the source that I want to use. What kind of a source is it? It's a file. What file is it? It's a CSV file. So I will say I want to create a new query from CSV file. Now I'm going to browse for the file. The file is here, and it's called onetable.csv, and I just click on it, double click. And now what I will see next is the query editor. So this is a environment in which I'm going to enhance the query, create the query, and then I can save the query, and every time I need, I can run it again to refresh the data, to bring the data from the same source again. So here I see the data. Looks pretty good to me. But there are still a few things which I need to do in order to prepare this data to... So first of all, there are some columns which I don't need. So let's say I don't need the district, so I can just go right-click and remove it. This one here, maybe also I don't want it. I can actually also go and remove it. So I can decide which columns do I want to leave as they are, or others that I can remove. Let's watch now the city, the column named city. You see that it's formatted as city, state, comma, the country, which is USA for everyone. I also have a separate columns for the state and for the country. So actually, I don't need all this superfluous data. I don't need it both in the city and in the other columns. So I would like to actually leave here just the city. So what I can do, I select this column, and then I use from the ribbon this tool from the transformations available for me. I will use split columns. So I say, yes, I want to split it by using a delimiter. The delimiter is the comma. I want just to use it once. So I say at the leftmost delimiter, click OK. And the result is that actually now I have two columns. Column 1 called cd.1 and cd.2. cd.2 is the one I don't need, so I will remove it. cd.1, I can actually double click the header and just rename it to be just cd. So I'm doing a series of simple steps to make this data ready for its purpose to be used later as the basis for my pivot table. So far, nothing really fancy. Now, another thing is that the state, I actually only have data from two states here, New York and Texas, but the state comes as abbreviation, and I want this column to actually say to have the full name of the state. So I can do right-click, and I say replaced values. And I can do something very simple. I say, when it's TX, I want it to show Texas. And here it goes. And again, I will say replace values. When it says New York, NY, I want it to say New York. Oh, the mistake there. All right. And now this looks like very manual work. I'm just going to replace. But the good thing is, if you look at the right side here, you see here the query settings here. One is the name of the query, and I can change it to be, let's say, I don't know, sales data, because this name here will become eventually the name of the table in the model once I import it. So I want to give it a nicer name than just one table. And then below that, I have a list of applied steps. This is actually, each one of them is one of the steps that I did while working on this data. So I removed columns. And each time I click on one of them, I actually see the way the data looks after this step. So I can go and retrace my step and see exactly where I was and how did it look. This series of steps is actually creating some kind of a script that will be saved as part of the query. Next time I will run the query by clicking refresh on the table that I will create. This series of steps will be repeated, starting from the source, from exactly the location of the source when I picked it up, and going forward with all the steps. And this is why I'm not really worried about manual steps and repeating them, because I do it once and then they will be repeated again and again for me. And so here we saw a list of very simple steps. Later on, we're going to see there's a few more parts about using queries, and we're going to see more sophisticated steps that I can apply. Now I'm done with this, with preparing the data. It looks ready to me. So I can go, and from the here, I have close and load or close and load to. Close and load to enable me to choose the target for this data when it landed and where it's going to be landed. And there's two parts to it. One is, do I want to see it in the workbook itself? So do I want it to create a table for me, or I only want it as a connection that I then can be used for refresh and so on? So in this case, I say I leave it as the default for me here, only create connection. The second part is about this checkbox. Do I want it in the data model? The fact that the default comes here this way is because I configured it before. I can configure it that this will be the default for me, because this is the way usually I do it. But anyhow, you see here the two parts, and now they are, as I don't need to change anything, I can click load. And on the right side, you see the progress of this query, and it says that they have 33,000 and something loaded. When I hover over it, I see a preview of the data, and we don't see any of the data because it's actually in the data model. This is why I asked it to go to the data model. But I can go here, insert a pivot table. Again, the default for 2016 is use this workbook from the data model. If you're on previous version, I would recommend it's much easier to go to the Power Pivoted in and create the pivot table from there. You can do it from Excel, but it will take you about 8 clicks instead of 1. And now you see on the right side, actually the field is for the pivot. It has only one table with everything in it because this. And you see here that I have the revenue, which I can click on. I have the country, so I can have a country that's not very useful because it's all from one country. So I take it out, state, within state, the city. So now we see a pivot of all the cities, and I can actually go and create a pivot based on this data. So that will conclude this, this part in which we saw the first example of using a query, previously known as Power Query, in Excel 2016, to bring a flat CSV file, applying some steps to it, and bringing into the model, and then creating a pivot table from it. In the next modules, we'll see building of more complex data models, also using queries, and then eventually we'll also go back to our dive into DAX and creating more sophisticated logic within these data models. So bye for now, and see you in the next one.